Welcome back, listeners. We're diving into something a little different this time.
Uh-oh.
Yeah, it's still creepy and mysterious.
Yeah, I like where this is going.
But instead of like a historical event or a true crime case,
Right.
we're looking at a short story.
Oof, fun.
It's like, imagine you inherit this like grand old Victorian mansion from your Aunt Margaret.
Classic.
Right. Sounds kind of idyllic at first, but there's this one room.
Oh, no.
Yeah, it's a mirror room, and let me tell you,
Okay, I'm already creeped out.
it's super unsettling.
I bet, with all those reflections staring back at you.
Exactly. And it's not just like regular mirrors.
What do you mean?
It's like every surface is covered, walls, ceiling,
Oh, wow.
even the floor, it's all mirrored.
Mm.
And it's octagonal shaped, which adds to the whole like disorienting vibe.
I can see that kind of like a distorted kaleidoscope.
Totally.
Yeah.
It really messes with your sense of space.
And like identity too, right? When you can't tell where you end and the reflections begin.
Yeah. Like you start questioning what's real, what's just a reflection.
Especially if you're alone in there.
Oh, for sure. And in this story, it gets even creepier.
Go on, I'm hooked.
So you find out that your Aunt Margaret, she was like kind of eccentric.
Okay, so there's family secrets too.
Oh, yeah, big time. She always acted like she was hiding something.
I see.
And she even left this note on the mirror room door.
Uh-oh. A warning.
Yeah. It said, like, don't linger in the mirror room. Keep the door locked at all times.
Chills. Classic haunted house vibes.
Right. But of course, you're curious. You have to see what's so spooky about this room.
It's human nature, right?
Yeah.
The forbidden always attracts us.
Exactly. So at first, you just peek, quick little visits.
Testing the waters.
Yeah. But even then, something feels off.
What do you mean?
Like you get dizzy, the reflections seem distorted.
Whoa, creepy.
It's like you're vanishing into this endless hall of mirrors.
But it's like the room itself is messing with your mind.
Right. And then one time,
What happened?
you notice something in the reflections.
Like what?
It's hard to explain, but one of the reflections, it doesn't look quite right.
Oh no.
Like it's almost you, but not quite.
Like a doppelganger situation.
Yeah, it's super unsettling, and it doesn't help that you start having these vivid nightmares about the room.
Oh, that's not good.
These dreams, they're like super intense.
What do you see?
Well, the mirrors, they like shimmer and distort.
I can almost picture that.
And this figure, the one that's like you, but not you,
Right, the doppelganger.
it starts coming out of the mirrors in your dreams.
Whoa. That's terrifying.
And it keeps saying things like, you stole my place, or like, you don't belong here.
Creepy. Like it's blaming you for something.
Exactly. It's like, it feels like you've taken something from it.
Like its place in the world, maybe?
Yeah, I think so. And then it gets even worse.
How so?
You start feeling like you're being watched all the time.
Even when you're not near the mirror room.
Exactly. It's like those nightmares are spilling into your real life.
Oh, wow. That's freaky. Like the house is haunted, or maybe you're going a little crazy.
Right. It's that blurred line, you don't know what's real anymore.
That's going to be unsettling.
It is. And then, to make things even worse, a storm hits.
Of course.
Right. Like classic horror movie setup.
Got to have the dark and stormy night.
Exactly. So the power goes out, you're all alone.
Oh, no.
Just a single candle for light.
I can barely see anything with just one candle.
Right. It's like super spooky. Every little sound is amplified.
Yeah, you start imagining things in the shadows.
And you know what? Despite being terrified,
I bet.
you feel this pull, this urge to go back to that mirror room.
Like something is calling you there?
Yeah. Like something at the heart of this storm wants you in that room.
That is so creepy.
I know. So against your better judgment, you grab a flashlight and you go.
Can't blame you. I'd probably do the same.
You walk down those dark hallways.
Oh, man. I'm already getting chills.
The wind is howling outside. The candle is flickering.
And the mirror room is waiting.
You reach the door and your hand is shaking as you open it.
So much suspense.
You step inside and the flashlight beam bounces off all those mirrors.
It must be blinding.
It's like a dizzying maze of light and reflections.
You can't tell what's real and what's not.
And then
Yellow light.
the door slams shut behind you and you're plunged into darkness.
Oh, God, no.
The flashlight flickers.
Okay, I'm on the edge of my seat.
And in those brief flashes of light,
You see it,
you see your reflection.
but it's not you.
No, it's not. It steps out of the mirror and its movements, they're not human.
Yeah.
It's like it's gliding, like it's not bound by gravity.
It's so unsettling.
It looks like you, but it's twisted, wrong.
Like a funhouse mirror image gone horribly wrong.
It's smiling, but it's not a friendly smile. It's like
Like it's mocking you.
yeah. And its voice, it echoes like it's coming from everywhere and nowhere.
What does it say?
Finally, it says, and its voice sends shivers down your spine. Do you know how long I've waited?
Like it's been trapped.
Yes. And now, thanks to you, it's free.
And whatever it has planned, it's not going to be good.
You try to back away, but it's too late.
What happens?
The floor, it feels like quicksand. You can't get any traction.
It's like the room itself is against you.
The doppelganger grabs your wrist.
Yeah.
Its grip, it's ice cold, like death.
Okay, now I'm really creeped out.
Your turn, it hisses, and it starts pulling you towards the mirror.
No. Don't go towards the mirror.
You try to scream, but your voice is muffled like you're underwater.
This is terrifying.
And then everything goes dark as you're pulled through the mirror.
Through the mirror? Oh my God.
The last thing you see is the doppelganger on the other side.
Looking back at you.
It smiles and says in your voice, "Don't worry, I'll take good care of your life."
Whoa. We are left with so many questions.
Right. Like, what happens next? What does the doppelganger want? We'll dive back into those eerie questions in just a moment.
I'll take good care of your life. Oh my God, that's chilling.
I know, right?
It's like your worst nightmare come true.
And the story doesn't exactly give us a lot to go on about how it got to that point either.
True. Like, we know about the mirror room, but what is it exactly? Some kind of portal. A prison dimension. A cursed antique shop.
It really makes you wonder, huh? I mean, we were talking earlier about the whole octagon shape of the room.
Oh, right. Yeah, octagons, they're not just random. They pop up in a lot of symbolic architecture. Like, think about old churches, baptistries, those sorts of places. They're often octagonal.
Now that you mention it, yeah, I've seen that. But why an octagon for a mirror room, though?
Well, that's the thing, isn't it? It's like the shape is kind of hinting at something. It could be like a symbol of rebirth or transition, maybe even like a link between the physical world and the spiritual or something.
Whoa, okay, so you're thinking maybe the mirror room isn't just a room, it's like a space where things change, where transformations happen?
Yeah, exactly. It's like it's operating in a different level of reality. And then you've got the whole mirror thing itself, which is already loaded with symbolism. Mirrors have always been connected to like duality, reflection, all that supernatural stuff.
Right. Like, how can you not think of vampires when someone starts talking about mirrors, you know?
Exactly. They make you question what's real, what's just an image. But in this story, it's like they go a step further. They don't just reflect, they duplicate.
Yeah, and they spawn creepy doppelgangers. Which brings us back to that weird detail, the metallic smell in the room. Any more thoughts on that?
You know, it's really one of the most interesting parts of the story for me, because it hints at something beyond our normal understanding of things. There are some people who believe that certain paranormal events have a metallic smell associated with them, maybe like some kind of change in the electromagnetic field or something.
So you're thinking that smell could be like evidence that the mirror room isn't just some normal room, that it's working on some other principle that we don't get yet.
Exactly. Maybe it's a byproduct of whatever created that doppelganger, whatever energy or force is holding it there.
Okay, I can see that. So let's talk about the doppelganger itself for a minute. What do you think it is? Is it a ghost? A demon? Some kind of interdimensional copycat?
Well, the story's clever. It doesn't really give us a neat little label, does it? But we do know it doesn't just poof into existence out of nowhere. It comes out of the mirrors. Like it's been stuck in there, waiting. And your arrival is what lets it out.
So it's like I inherited a haunted house, but with a bonus supernatural enemy throw in.
Yeah, basically. And this enemy is like a twisted reflection of you. It's a pretty strong metaphor for the dark side we all have. That potential for bad stuff, even in seemingly good people.
And it also makes you think about all the things we inherit, not just physical stuff like a house. Sometimes the things we get from our families are more like burdens than gifts.
Oh, definitely. And here it's like that burden is directly tied to the house itself. Like the house itself has a will, a bad one, and it's been waiting to cause trouble.
And now that it's got this doppelganger running around, what's stopping it from just like going wild?
Right. What's to stop it from taking over your whole life? It can copy your voice, your looks. Who's to say it can't just replace you entirely?
Okay, that's scary. Is there anything we can do? Like, could that metallic smell be a clue? Is there some way to beat it or at least keep it from doing more harm?
It's hard to say for sure, but if we're thinking that smell means there's some weird energy or force involved, well, maybe there's a scientific way to understand it. And if we understand it, maybe we can find its weakness. Maybe there's a way to disrupt whatever's keeping it tied to that mirror room, you know?
So even though the story's all about the supernatural, you're saying there might be a science-based answer.
Hey, it's possible. What we call supernatural today could just be tomorrow's scientific discovery. We're always finding out new stuff about how the universe works.
It's like that saying, any sufficiently advanced technology, it's basically magic.
Exactly. Maybe the mirror room and the doppelganger, they're like some kind of tech we don't have the tools to grasp yet. But we still don't know what the doppelganger's end goal is. It doesn't just want out, it wants your life. What does that even mean?
That's the biggest mystery here. This story really makes you think about what makes us us and what happens when that gets messed with. It's a question that really sticks with you. We'll come back in a bit to wrap things up and share some final thoughts. And I gotta say, this whole mirror room thing, it's really got me thinking,
I know what you mean. It's like one of those stories that gets under your skin and just stays there.
The thought of having, like, a dark twin trapped in a mirror waiting to steal your life, it's just shudders.
It really taps into some primal fear, doesn't it?
Yeah.
It makes you question what's real, what's just a reflection, and if those lines can ever truly be crossed.
Exactly. And the story leaves us hanging with so many questions like, what happens next? What does the doppelganger do with your life once it's, taken over?
Right. It's that open-endedness that makes it so effective, I think.
Yeah.
It sticks with you, makes you keep thinking about the possibilities, even after you've finished reading.
Okay, so we've talked about symbolism, the psychology of it all, even the idea that there might be a scientific explanation for this whole supernatural mess. But what's the takeaway here? What can we actually learn from this encounter with the doppelganger?
Well, for me, one of the biggest things is about boundaries. Not just physical ones like that locked door, but the boundaries we create in our minds too. Like, you ignored your aunt's warning, and that led to trouble.
Yeah, curiosity killed the cat, as they say.
But it's more than just avoiding danger. It's about recognizing that there are things out there, forces, that can really threaten how we see ourselves, how we understand the world. We have to be careful, pay attention to the signs, trust our gut feelings when something feels wrong.
So it's a story about being cautious, but also about knowing ourselves, knowing where those lines are that we shouldn't cross.
Exactly. And it pushes us to think bigger, too. Like, what even is reality? What makes something real or just an image? Can those things ever get mixed up?
It's like the story's asking us to look deeper, not just take things at face value.
And that's one of the coolest things about stories, isn't it? The good ones don't just entertain, they make you think, challenge what you believe, make you face stuff that maybe you'd rather not.
Well said. So as we wrap up our deep dive into this creepy tale, I want to leave you with one last thought. If scientists were to study this mirror room, what would they find? What kind of energy could create a doppelganger? Could there be a whole other dimension hiding in those reflections?
Ooh, now that's a question. Maybe the mirrors aren't just bouncing back light, but something else we don't have a name for yet. Some unknown energy, a portal to a parallel universe. Or maybe the answer's inside us all along in our minds, the power of our subconscious. There's so much we don't know about how our brains work, how reality is even put together.
That's a pretty mind-blowing thought to end on. There are so many mysteries out there, both in the world and inside ourselves. Maybe someday science will catch up and explain it all, but until then, we've got stories like this to keep us wondering, keep us exploring, and maybe keep us a little wary of those innocent-looking mirrors we all have at home.
You got that right. Sometimes the scariest truths are the ones reflecting back at us from our own imaginations.
Thanks for joining us on this deep dive. Until next time, keep those lights on and stay curious out there.